Emma had always dreamt of escaping the city's clamour. She longed for peaceful streets and the charm of a close-knit community. So when she found the listing for a Victorian house in the town of Willow Creek, it felt like destiny. The pictures showcased a charming exterior and hinted at a rich history within its walls. Emma packed her belongings, excitement bubbling in her chest. This was her chance for a fresh start, a chance to embrace a life she had always yearned for. Willow Creek was everything Emma had hoped for. Quaint shops lined the main street, their awnings like colourful smiles welcoming visitors. The residents were friendly, their greetings tinged with a warmth that chased away the city's chill. Emma felt a sense of belonging she hadn't realised she craved. Her Victorian house stood at the edge of town, a proud sentinel overlooking a sprawling apple orchard. It was as if time had breathed upon the house, dusting it with an antique charm that both captivated and unsettled Emma. As she crossed the threshold, a sense of peace washed over her. Sunbeams streamed through stained glass windows, painting the interior in a kaleidoscope of colours. The air hummed with a stillness that was both calming and eerie. It was as if the house were holding its breath, waiting for her to awaken it from a long slumber. Each room whispered tales of bygone eras, their echoes lingering in the air. Emma spent her first few days unpacking and exploring, her heart brimming with the joy of new beginnings. Little did she know that her idyllic haven harboured a secret, one that would soon unravel her peaceful existence and drag her into a terrifying reality. A darkness lurked beneath the surface of her quaint town dream, waiting for the opportune moment to reveal itself. The house was a treasure trove of forgotten memories. Each room held the echoes of lives lived and loves lost, their whispers woven into the very fabric of the building. Emma found herself drawn to the attic, its musty scent a portal to the past. Dust-covered furniture huddled together like old friends sharing secrets in hushed tones. A faded tapestry hung on the far wall, depicting a scene of a bygone era. It was in the attic that Emma discovered the mirror. It stood tall and slender, its ornate frame crafted from dark, polished wood. Intricate carvings danced across its surface, whispering tales of forgotten craftsmanship. The mirror's glass was clouded with age, obscuring its reflection in a hazy mist. Yet, Emma could sense a presence emanating from it, a silent energy that sent shivers down her spine. Intrigued, Emma drew closer, her fingers tracing the mirror's cold, smooth surface. The wood felt strangely alive beneath her touch, as if pulsating with a hidden energy. As she gazed into the mirror's depths, she could have sworn she saw a flicker of movement within the swirling mist, a fleeting image, gone as quickly as it had appeared. It was as if the mirror were holding its breath, guarding its secrets closely. Unnerved, Emma stepped back, her heart pounding in her chest. She couldn't shake the feeling that she was not alone in the attic, that unseen eyes watched her every move. The air grew heavy, pressing down on her with an almost tangible weight. Her instinct screamed at her to leave, to escape the suffocating atmosphere of the attic. But something held her captive, an irresistible allure that drew her back to the mysterious mirror. The first night in the house, sleep evaded Emma. The silence, so profound during the day, transformed into an orchestra of unsettling noises at night. Floorboards creaked beneath unseen footsteps, and the wind howled like a banshee in the chimney. But it was the whispers that truly chilled Emma to the bone. They started subtly, like the rustling of leaves outside her window. At first she dismissed them as tricks of a tired mind, but as the night wore on, they grew louder, more insistent. They seemed to emanate from the attic, their tone mournful, pleading. Emma strained to decipher the words, but they remained tantalizingly out of reach. A chorus of disembodied voices trapped in an eternal lament. Fear coiled in the pit of her stomach, cold and relentless. She tried to rationalize the sounds, to attribute them to drafts or settling pipes. But deep down she knew that something was amiss. The whispers seemed to weave themselves into her dreams, transforming her peaceful slumber into a terrifying tapestry of fragmented images and disembodied voices. She dreamt of a young woman with sorrowful eyes, her voice a haunting melody that echoed through the corridors of Emma's mind. The woman's image was fleeting, disappearing like mist beneath a scorching sun, but her sadness lingered, a palpable weight on Emma's chest. By morning, Emma was both exhausted and terrified. The whispers had ceased with the first light of dawn, but their memory lingered, casting a pall over the day ahead. She tried to shake off the unease, to convince herself that it was just the house settling into its old bones. But a seed of doubt had been planted, and it grew steadily, fueled by the unseen presence that she could sense lurking just beyond her perception. Section 4. The Weight of Unseen Eyes. As the days turned into weeks, the strange occurrences in the house intensified. Objects moved inexplicably, as if guided by unseen hands. Doors creaked open and slammed shut with no apparent cause. Emma felt a constant presence following her every move, a pair of unseen eyes watching her from the shadows. The whispers continued each night, growing louder, more insistent. They seemed to be trying to communicate something, to convey a message from beyond the veil. Emma couldn't shake the feeling that she was being drawn into a mystery, one that was inexorably linked to the house and its enigmatic past. She began to research the history of her Victorian home, poring over old documents and local archives. Her search led her to the town library, where a kindly librarian pointed her towards a collection of local lore and historical accounts. It was there, in the brittle pages of a century-old journal, that Emma discovered the tragic tale of Clara Blackwood, the house's former owner. Clara had been a beautiful young woman, known for her kindness and her ethereal singing voice. She had lived in the house with her family, but their happiness was short-lived. Tragedy struck, claiming the lives of Clara's parents and leaving her orphaned and alone. The townsfolk whispered of a darkness that had descended upon the house, a malevolent force that fed on grief and despair. According to the journal, Clara had become increasingly reclusive after her parents' death, her once vibrant spirit extinguished by grief. She was said to wander the halls of the house at night, her mournful cries echoing through the empty rooms. Some whispered that she had gone mad, driven to insanity by the weight of her sorrow. Section 5. The Tragedy of Clara Blackwood. The journal entry that detailed Clara's final days sent a shiver down Emma's spine. It spoke of a desperate search for something that Clara believed could reunite her with her deceased parents. The townsfolk whispered of seances and rituals, of forbidden magic practiced within the walls of the Blackwood house. The journal entry ended abruptly, leaving Clara's fate shrouded in mystery. Emma felt a chill run down her spine as she read the final words scrawled on the aged parchment. It was as if the weight of Clara's sorrow had seeped into the very ink, staining the page with a palpable sense of loss and despair. The librarian, sensing Emma's distress, gently closed the journal. "Some stories," she said softly, "are best left undisturbed." But Emma knew that she couldn't ignore the connection she felt to Clara Blackwood. The whispers, the strange occurrences, it all pointed to something sinister lurking beneath the surface of her idyllic life. Driven by a mixture of fear and determination, Emma returned to the house, her mind awhirl with questions. She couldn't shake the feeling that Clara's spirit was trapped within the house, unable to find peace. That night, as she lay in bed, the whispers returned, stronger than ever before, but this time Emma could have sworn she heard her name woven into the ghostly chorus. It was as if Clara Blackwood was reaching out from beyond the grave, seeking her help. Emma knew what she had to do. She had to find a way to communicate with Clara, to help her find peace and release her from the confines of the house. She thought back to the journal entry, to the mention of a desperate search, a plea for something that could bridge the gap between the living and the dead. Section 6. The Reflection's Plea. Emma's gaze fell upon the attic mirror, its ornate frame seeming to beckon her closer. She had avoided the attic since her initial encounter with the mirror, but now she felt an irresistible pull toward it. As she climbed the creaking steps to the attic, her heart pounded in her chest, a drumbeat of apprehension echoing in her ears. The air in the attic was thick with dust and the weight of forgotten memories. It seemed colder than she remembered, as if a chill wind had swept through the room, leaving an icy residue in its wake. The mirror stood in the center of the room, its surface no longer clouded with age, but now clear and bright, as if freshly polished. As Emma approached, she could see her reflection staring back at her, but there was something different, something unsettling about the image. Her reflection moved independently, its eyes filled with a desperate plea. From the depths of the mirror, a voice emerged, soft yet clear, like the tinkling of wind chimes. "Help me," the voice whispered, its tone laced with an aching sadness that tore at Emma's heart. "I'm trapped." Emma realized with a growing sense of dread that she was speaking to Clara Blackwood. The whispers that had haunted her nights, the strange occurrences that had plagued her since moving in, it all made sense now. Clara's spirit was bound to the mirror, her soul unable to find peace. "How can I help you?" Emma asked, her voice barely a whisper. The reflection in the mirror flickered, and Clara's face, pale and drawn, materialized before her. Her eyes, once filled with life and joy, were now hollowed pits of despair, reflecting an eternity of suffering. Section 7. The cycle continues. "Find the key," Clara whispered, her voice raspy as if unused for centuries. "The key will set me free." The image in the mirror wavered, threatening to fade back into the depths of the glass. "Where is the key?" Emma asked urgently, her hand reaching out to touch the cold surface of the mirror. But Clara's reflection had vanished, leaving Emma alone in the dusty silence of the attic. Driven by a desperate need to help Clara, Emma embarked on a frantic search for the key. She scoured every inch of the house, her fingers tracing the outlines of dusty furniture, her heart pounding with a mixture of hope and dread. Days turned into nights as Emma tirelessly pursued every lead, every whisper of a clue that might lead her to the key. The house seemed to conspire against her, its shadows deepening, its silence growing more oppressive with each passing hour. Just when her hope began to dwindle, Emma discovered a hidden compartment beneath a loose floorboard in the attic. Inside, nestled amongst yellowed letters and faded photographs, lay a small silver key. The key was cold to the touch, its surface etched with intricate carvings that seemed to writhe and shift beneath her gaze. With trembling hands, Emma carried the key to the attic mirror. As she held it up, a blinding light erupted from the mirror's surface. Emma cried out, shielding her eyes from the radiant glow that filled the room. When the light subsided, she looked back at the mirror, her heart pounding with a mixture of anticipation and terror. Standing in the mirror's reflection was Clara Blackwood, no longer a ghostly apparition but a living, breathing woman. Tears streamed down Clara's face, a mixture of joy and relief. "You've freed me," she whispered, her voice trembling with emotion. But as Clara stepped closer to the mirror's surface, a look of horror crossed her face. "No," she cried, her voice laced with panic. "It's too late." The mirror's surface rippled, and Emma felt an unseen force pulling her forward. She tried to scream, to fight against the invisible current that dragged her inexorably towards the mirror's depths, but it was no use. With a sickening lurch, Emma was sucked into the mirror, her form disappearing into its silvery depths. As her vision faded, the last thing Emma saw was Clara Blackwood, her face contorted in a silent scream, trapped once more within the mirror's gilded cage. The cycle, it seemed, had repeated itself, leaving Emma to wander the spectral halls of the house, forever bound to the mirror, her pleas for help echoing through the empty rooms unheard and unanswered.